Hi, my name is Christina, and this is the Integrated Self Podcast. Welcome. This is my first episode. I'm very excited. I felt very inspired to do something I always felt called to do, which is speak my truth and share my perspective. I feel like I've had a lot of interesting experiences in my life, and like we all have, and I think it's worth sharing. Now, as far as the title, Integrated Self, to me, it just encapsulates every theme that I'd want to cover, every kind of conversation I'd want to have. And it just speaks to the place I'm at in my life right now, doing a lot of integration, taking a lot of my wounding and alchemizing that into creativity and change and transformation. Integration is a really important process for me and has been in my life. It's how we take all of our experiences and make ourselves whole from them and are able to move forward and continue living our lives with the wisdom and experience and pain and trauma that we've experienced as a human being on this planet. This is a podcast for people who feel very deeply, are sensitive, who feel often misunderstood or like they can't fully be themselves. Also, people who have a wide variety of interests. This is a place where you can come to ground yourself, to relate, to learn, to listen, to grow, to just, I want it to be a place to land for people who feel like they can't express themselves or like something is missing but they don't know what. And yeah, I'm happy to be that safe space for people. Just a little background on me. I am currently working as a licensed massage therapist, and I love the work that I do. It's changed my life in so many ways. I've been practicing collectively about 5 years, but professionally 2 years, including school and everything. What I love about massage is that, kind of like how I expressed I wanted this to be a place for people to feel safe and heard and seen. I also take that into my work as a massage therapist. It gives me great purpose and fulfillment to be a place of rest and safety and trust for people who want to feel more grounded in their bodies and want to be loved on in a safe and professional way. Yeah, that work is really important to me, and it's how I serve. It's how I feel the most like myself. And I feel like expressing myself in this medium is another form of me showing up in my most authentic form. And yeah, I was kind of contemplating on, should I have a format for the first episode? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I just came to the conclusion of having no expectations whatsoever. My only drive for doing this and my deepest desire in pursuing this is to express myself in ways that are authentic to me, because in my everyday life, it is hard for me to express myself. I do struggle being fully myself around people. I do have judgments around who I am. I'm still learning who I am and how to accept myself and learning how I want to show up in the world. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So I'm happy to get to share those thoughts and feelings with all of you. This might be a little all over the place, so I hope that you can just stick with me. And I'm just kind of letting this be a stream of consciousness. And I'm sure I'll work out the kinks along the way, but I'm not even concerned about that right now. I'm just present right here in this moment and really letting my channel open to receive whatever wants to come through. And that's really exciting. I'm really happy that I'm doing this. Yeah, another reason why I wanted to do this, and I'm inspired by a lot of podcasters. I won't name them all right now. I kind of just want to focus on like what my intentions are and who I am. But anyway, I obviously am very inspired by tons of podcasters who have created platforms on just being who they are and seeing the communities that they attract and the relationships they attract from that. And that is also one of my intentions in starting this, is to work on communication, to work on connecting with others, to work on listening, to work on learning from people, to attract soul family, to attract the people who I've been waiting to connect with, the relationships that nourish my soul and feel good to me and feel like family. Just a little bit more of a background. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I'm not from here. I moved here about 2 years ago. In March, it'll be 2 years officially. But I'm from New York. I grew up on Long Island. Well, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and then I moved to Long Island when I was a teenager. And so moving here in a mountain town, it's changed my life so drastically in the most positive and graceful way. I became more financially stable when I moved here, and of course, being a massage therapist had a lot to do with that. That also changed my life. I used to struggle with money a lot. I was living paycheck to paycheck, very unhappy, did not resonate with the culture of Long Island. If any of you are familiar with that place or are from New York, you kind of understand what I mean. And no shade to Long Island. Like, I appreciate her. I appreciate what she's done for me. And, you know, I can look back and say, like, it was a good place to grow up in terms of the nature and being near the ocean and all the great food. But as far as relating to people and feeling like I could thrive there, I didn't really align with that. And so I'm just happy to be in a place where I feel like I can do a lot of healing and I can just really be myself. And yeah. Sorry, I had to take a little pause. I got a bit distracted by my cat. Of course, he chooses now, when everything's super quiet, to start playing with the noisiest toy he has. But I love him. He's the best. Anyway. So yeah, growing up on Long Island and moving to Santa Fe, that was a big transition for me. And being here, I feel the happiest I've ever been. I'm the most financially stable I've ever been. But I'm struggling to find community. And I know that that takes time. But I'm redefining what friendship is to me, because I've definitely had friendships in the past that felt misaligned, and I couldn't quite like put my finger on what it was, but I just never felt like I had that sense of sisterhood or community in the friends that I had. It just felt like we were around each other a lot, and that created an attachment and a bond, but it wasn't a true bond where I felt like I could be myself. And not to blame those people I was friends with, because I was going through a lot at the time too. I was in school, I was living back at home with my family, and that's a whole nother episode. But it was really tough. I was very unhappy, and So yeah, anyway, fast forwarding to now, because I have the space in my life to cultivate those relationships, I'm like really yearning for that connection. And because I wasn't really given the tools on how to connect in healthy ways growing up, it's been super hard for me to attract those relationships and to show up as myself. And like I expressed before, I'm still learning how to show up authentically and how to show up in a way where people that are meant to be for me can see me. And I'm sure there's so many of you that can relate to that. I definitely know that for a fact, because relationships are difficult, especially being that the people who raised us didn't have the tools to create healthy relationships, and they only passed down what they knew was best. And that's fine and all, but it's our job now to learn those tools and to be better people and learn how to have better relationships. And I feel like I'm kind of all over the place here, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now. As far as what I want this podcast to be and the topics that I want to share about, I mean, it could range from anything, from trauma, like family trauma, relationship trauma, energy and boundaries and self-respect and confidence, sisterhood, womanhood, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, sacred union, wellness and health. What else? Really, like there's so many things that I would love to talk about. Music and comedy and friendship, learning new skills, hobbies. I'm really excited to touch on all of those topics, and I already have a few people in mind that I want to invite as guests and pick their brain, people I find interesting. And yeah, I am just really feeling into what it's like to speak for long periods of time and monitoring my vocabulary and how many times I say or like. And I understand that in the beginning, that's gonna be something I have to work out over time. So I'm not attached to perfection, even though I am a Virgo moon. So it is in the back of my mind to make everything perfect. And it does kind of ruin my life sometimes, but that's okay. She's an aware girly. And I look forward to flourishing and expressing more of my personality on this platform. I've made YouTube videos in the past. I was looking at my YouTube channel before I started recording, and I was just admiring those versions of myself that made those videos. And over the span of like 7 or 8 years, I would take long breaks of not creating any videos, and then I would get hit with this inspiration and I would feel pulled to create again. And that's why I felt called to do this. That's another reason why, because throughout my adult life, from about 7 or 8 years ago, I remember the first video I ever made, and it was when I shaved my head for the first time. And I was just sharing what that experience was like. And it was basically the start of my spiritual awakening. And then a couple years would go by and I would make another video. Like every time I went through these transitions in my life, I felt called to share and to express. And at some point in time, a long period of time went by where I just didn't do it anymore. And I am at a point in my life right now, I'm 31 years old. I feel like the most healed version of myself. And I'm ready to show up and be who I am. I don't necessarily care what people think of me anymore, or at least I'm trying not to care about what people think of me anymore. I don't want to judge myself anymore. I just want to be full of myself and loving on myself and just being who I am, because I know the people that are meant for me are looking for that and yearning for that. And I know I have something to share that's special and that people need to hear. And it's a calling. And no matter how hard you try, you can't ignore your calling. So I'm very grateful to even be in a place where I can sit here with a laptop and a microphone and have the time to do this. I'm extremely grateful. But yeah, I was just looking back at those older videos and I'm like, wow, so brave of her to share. And there were some people, I mean, I don't have a ton of views, obviously. I only ever made like maybe 5 or 6 videos total, but people resonated with what I had to share, even if it was like 1 or 2 people. And it really touched me because I felt like, oh wow, my voice matters. Like, people need what I have to share. Like, there's medicine in what I'm sharing. And I think each and every one of us has that medicine or of sharing our experience. There's wisdom in that, and everyone has something to offer because everyone's had experiences in their life. And yeah, it's just really important to share. And maybe it's easier for me to share in this way. So I'm open to it. But yeah, it's been quite the journey. And I'm excited. I am not sure how long I want this to go for because I can feel myself losing my train of thought and I can feel myself trying to think of things to say, but perhaps we'll just keep this first episode short and sweet just to kind of feel things out. And yeah, maybe that's all that needs to be said right now. But on that note, yeah, stay tuned. This is all obviously very new. I don't have a plan on how often I'll be doing these. I tend to act on inspiration. And when I feel called to talk about things, I'll definitely be keeping notes of topics I want to cover. And I don't know when I'll have my first guest on. I think I'd like to practice more just solo vibes and practicing talking by myself for a while until it feels a little bit more comfortable. But who knows? Anything is possible. Anyway, if you have listened to this, thank you so much for listening. And if it resonates with you and you feel called to share it, please do. That'd be great. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to the journey ahead. Bye-bye for now.